Daron Bland is making a case for Defensive Player of the Year. He is. He's got to be in the conversation.
This guy's unbelievable. You think Trayvon Diggs is out, they're going to have problems at corner? Not so much.
Any one of these guys that had a skill in turning the ball over haven't done what Daron Bland has done this season.
Dallas Cowboys cornerback Daron Bland is having a season to remember. At the time that we're recording this video, he has 7 interceptions to lead the league. But it's what he's done with those interceptions that is destroying record books. Bland has returned 5 interceptions for touchdowns, which is the most ever for one player in a season. His record-breaking 63-yard pick six put a bow on the Cowboys' 45-10 blowout win over Washington and set off a massive celebration as the crowd recognized the historic moment. However, what started as a neat story has evolved into so much more. If you look deeper at Bland's impact this season, you can find out how important he's been to the vaunted Cowboys defense. Bland isn't just playing like one of the league's top corners, he's playing like one of the league's best defensive players, period, which is why he could, and maybe should, win Defensive Player of the Year. Before we get to the content, make sure you drop like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. Now that we get all of that out of the way, break! I haven't proved myself to you at this point, then check this out. On Thursday Night Football, these are all the people that made money by following my prize picks for free on Instagram. I give out my picks for free each and every night, and if you end up tailing me and hit green, I shout you out like this. Right now, when you use my promo code Mikerophone, you could double your deposit up until $100 on prize picks. And thank you, prize picks, for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? It might seem like Daron Bland came out of nowhere, but he's been building a strong track record of producing since he entered the league. Bland began his college career at Sacramento State, a FCS program near his hometown, Modesto, California. After playing there for 2 seasons and sitting out the 2020 season because of COVID, Bland transferred to Fresno State, where he helped the Bulldogs pull off a pair of big upsets over ranked opponents UCLA and San Diego State. Bland's play on a 10-win team earned him attention from NFL scouts, including the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys drafted Bland in the 5th round with the 167th pick of the 2022 NFL Draft. Now, a 5th round rookie isn't typically a player that top defenses end up relying on, but that's exactly what happened when Bland got to Dallas. Dallas Cowboys already had Trayvon Diggs at corner, coming off of a record-breaking season in which he had an interception in 6 straight games and 11 overall during the season. However, in 2022, Bland, who was just a 5th round rookie, led the team in interceptions instead of their Pro Bowl cornerback. He was buried on the depth chart early, but earned playing time by impressing in practice with his ball skills and playing all over the field when their other corners went down. Bland had 5 interceptions as a rookie as he filled the holes created by injuries to Jordan Lewis and Anthony Brown. He played in all 17 games, starting in 8, while including 54 total tackles and 7 passes defended. Dallas finished 2022 with one of the best passing defenses in football, finishing top 10 in passing yards allowed, interceptions, and passing first downs. Cowboys had their initial moment of shock during Bland's rookie season as they fully realized his talent and could comfortably count on him entering 2023. However, they had no clue what was in store for year 2. Bland was once again overshadowed entering 2023. Trayvon Diggs was beginning to become a household name with 2 Pro Bowl seasons and 1 All-Pro selection to his name, and was subsequently rewarded with a contract extension. But the Dallas Cowboys also doubled down on their defensive back unit, trading for another household name, Stephon Gilmore, who's a 5-time Pro Bowler and former Defensive Player of the Year winner in 2019, not to mention a Super Bowl champion. They also brought back Leighton Vander Esch, adding to a strong front 7 that already included Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, and Dante Fowler. Even though they were impressed with him during his rookie season, Dallas didn't anticipate Bland becoming one of their top defensive contributors or even one of their 2 top corners. But Bland quickly showed that last season wasn't a fluke. In week 1 against the New York Giants, Bland put an exclamation point on the Cowboys' opening quarter. He caught a deflected Daniel Jones pass and ran 22 yards for a touchdown, giving the Dallas Cowboys a 16-0 lead as the Cowboys went on to shut out the Giants 40-0. His performance became even more necessary for the Dallas Cowboys' success after Trayvon Diggs went down with a season-ending ACL tear just 2 games into the season. Typically, an injury such as this would cripple a team's hopes for contention, but luckily for the Dallas Cowboys, they had Daron Bland, and he was ready for the challenge. It wouldn't take long for Bland to step up. In Week 4 against the New England Patriots, he had 2 interceptions in a game for the second time in his career. Right before halftime, as the Patriots were driving, he jumped a route and went 54 yards untouched for the pick 6. He added another interception early in the third, making a great play on 4th down that ended New England's first drive of the half. Cowboys would cruise the rest of the day, winning 38-3. 3 games later, Bland got another touchdown against the Rams at the end of the first quarter, taking his 4th pick of the season 30 yards into the end zone untouched. A highly anticipated matchup became a blowout as the Cowboys won 43-20. At this point, with Bland already owning the Dallas Cowboys single-season pick 6 record, people outside of the team started to take notice. Coach Mike McCarthy was asked about Bland after the Rams win and said this:
"Instinctive, great ball skills, so consistent for a young player. I mean, just think about what he's done not only this year but last year. So he's going to play a long time."
2 weeks later, Daron Bland got his 5th pick of the season, once again against the New York Giants. That snuffed any hope of a comeback as Dallas beat New York in another blowout 49-17. The next game, Bland tied the NFL record with his 4th pick 6 of the season. In the 4th quarter against the Carolina Panthers, Bland came from behind to beat the receiver to the ball, intercepted Bryce Young, fell down, and got back up before going 30 yards untouched into the end zone. Dallas once again coasted, and they beat the lowly Panthers 33-10. Daron Bland was recognized for this incredible effort, being named NFC Defensive Player of the Week for the first time in his career. When he was asked after the game how he was able to score so much on defense, Bland reflected on his experience during his playing days on the other side of the ball.
I have to go back to my high school days, playing receiver. I had that mindset to go get the ball, seeing the ball. Whatever the receiver, once he gets his break, see the ball in the air, just go get it.
Which at this point, as a Dallas Cowboy fan, it's very difficult to not romanticize about another former wide receiver that turned corner that used to play in Dan Quinn's defense and was selected in the 5th round of the NFL draft. But I digress. 4 days after their win, Dallas returned home for a division battle on Thanksgiving against the Washington Commanders. After the Commanders hung around for 3 quarters, the Dallas Cowboys began to put them away in the 4th. And the final blow came from Bland, who in addition to reaching a season high with 10 tackles, also reached the end zone yet again, this time jumping an underneath route before breaking off his longest return of the season, going 63 yards to the house for his 5th pick 6 of the season. It was a historic moment in front of a massive nationally televised audience on a national holiday with a legendary Jim Nantz call.
There it is! This is history! If Bland can take it the distance, 5th time has a pick 6! It's never happened in the history of the NFL!
Dallas stayed perfect at home as the Cowboys improved to 8-3 after the 35-point win. The moment was so historic that his gloves and cleats are heading to the Hall of Fame to commemorate the record. Even Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones had to talk about Bland's rise and his current Defensive Player of the Year candidacy.
It's been beyond our expectation or dream that we could have him step up the way he has. And it's inspirational. It's inspirational.
You think he should be Defensive Player of the Year?
Well, I don't know about that, but I sure thought he's that got that Defensive Player of the Week. And he should be Offensive Player with the way he made that run to the end zone. So throw that one out for consideration.
Now you might be thinking,
Mike, you're just a fair-weather Dallas Cowboy fan, and that's the only reason you're making this video.
but the statistics behind Daron Bland's season needs to be acknowledged. There's a real case to be made that Daron Bland has been playing like the Defensive Player of the Year in 2023. Doing something that has never been done by a defensive player, like 5 pick 6s, is a major boon to his chances. He scored more touchdowns than many prominent offensive players, including his teammate Tony Pollard, which I'm feeling in fantasy right now, Deebo Samuel, Devontae Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Najee Harris, Chris Olave, Jalen Waddle, and many more. He's leading the NFL with 7 total interceptions, while nobody else but Indy's Kenny Moore has multiple pick 6s this season. Every time he's finished the game with an interception, the Cowboys have won. He's 1 touchdown away from tying Devin Hester's single season record for most non-offensive touchdowns, and he still has 6 more games to go. Outside of Keshawn Nixon, who who returns kicks and punts for the Packers, Bland has gained the most all-purpose yards by a defensive back this season. His 209 total return yards are more than the yardage Trevon Diggs gained during his season with 11 interceptions. Bland has more interceptions than 10 other teams. Meanwhile, only 2 teams have more interceptions than the Cowboys, while only the Cleveland Browns have allowed fewer passing yards and fewer passing touchdowns this season. But Defensive Player of the Year awards are never just given because you happen to get a lot of interceptions. Because if that was the case, then Trevon Diggs would have won Defensive Player of the Year 2 years ago. But what separates Daron Bland from Trevon Diggs is the fact that he punishes the quarterback every time he attempts to throw it to the receiver that he happens to be covering. Bland's coverage is a huge reason why the Cowboys have allowed the 5th lowest quarterback rating this season. He is the highest rated cornerback by Pro Football Focus this season on both overall defense and coverage. Only 4 players have defended more passes this season than him. Compare that to the fact that he's been flagged 4 times all season, including just twice for pass interference. Bland's season has been different from Diggs' Defensive Player of the Year candidacy in 2021, where he caught 11 interceptions. Diggs seemed to be boom or bust on big plays, which earned him a bad PFF grade. Despite his high interception total, there are times where Trevon Diggs would get burnt in coverage. He allowed just under 17 yards of completion and missed about 16% of his tackle opportunities. When you compare that to Daron Bland, who's allowed just 10 yards of completion and has missed only less than 8% of his potential tackles. In that same post-game press conference after the Washington win, Jerry Jones admired Bland's performance even when he wasn't catching the ball.
We all are not only impressed by what he's doing, his work ethic, but we're impressed at how sound he is when he's not making those interceptions. He's playing really sound football back there.
A lot of these stats show a cornerback who has not only had a great season, but an all-time season. Is Daron Bland's season good enough to actually win Defensive Player of the Year? The season is far from over, but he's given himself a chance. He's at least entered the conversation. Bland's odds have shot up over the last week, going as high as the 4th best odds on some sports books. He wasn't even on some boards until week 10. However, if you look at the recent winners of the award, the chances of a player in the secondary winning the award have been low. Stephon Gilmore is the only defensive back to have won Defensive Player of the Year since 2011. In almost every other year during that stretch, the award has gone to defensive linemen or pass rushers with big sack numbers. Players like Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, and Bland's teammate Micah Parsons all fit in that category and are all the 3 favorites for the award. It wouldn't be a shocker to see any of those players win the award. However, Daron Bland cannot be overlooked as it stands, and definitely not if he keeps at this record pace. If Bland adds another pick 6 or 2 by the end of the season, he'll become the highest scoring non-offensive player of all time. That's a feat that should propel his candidacy on its own. Never mind all the other data that shows he's the best defensive back on one of the top passing defenses on a probable playoff team. Essentially, Bland's pick 6s will be measured against whichever top pass rushers produce the most, but he may not be done. Cowboys lost their best corner early in the season, so Daron Bland stepped up to become their new best corner. By the end of the season, he may be back in the end zone again and on his way to winning Defensive Player of the Year. Let me know in the comment section down below if you agree with me. Can Daron Bland win Defensive Player of the Year? Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.